An important skill as you're learning to code is to understand that all of these functions that seem mysterious are well documented online so that everybody can access them. Whoever makes them generally tries to include what's called JavaDoc. Um, and the processing reference is a form of JavaDoc that's sort of simplified. If you go to the whole JavaDoc menu, so like for a common class, which is like strings, or we're going to deal with it later, but it deals with words. So if we say JavaDoc strings, or string, um, and you go to this website, it lists all of the different methods that the functions that you can call, the methods that you can call, and instructs you in regard to how to use them appropriately. We're not going to use this full JavaDoc documentation quite yet. We're going to start out actually with the processing reference guide, which is linked here under the Exploring the Processing Functions assignment. So if you click on that link, it'll bring you to this web page, where all of the processing functions are listed. Now, some of them, depending on the version of the software you're using, may be slightly different or not work a little bit, which is just kind of, you're just going to have to become okay with it or confident that you know when that's happening. It doesn't really matter right away. For the most part, they'll work. So let's say we want to learn how to make the stroke, which is, deal with color. So we can set the background, we can set the fill color. You can choose no fill just by typing no fill, or no stroke, which is the outline, or set the stroke color. So let's click on stroke and head down and look at what we see here. So this is instructions with regard to how to use the stroke function. Stroke function, you can either give it a single number from 0 to 255, indicating the level of whiteness, so 0 being black, 255 being completely white. Or you can give it 3 different colors, which obviously in this case sets the outline to sort of a red color, RGB. And here, if you read about the function, the description is important to read, and then you can also read for more syntax, and here is listed all of the definitions of any of these things. So you can just set an RGB plus alpha, meaning transparency, and you can, use this function how you will. So let's make use of it a little bit. I'll show you a different one too so that we can make a little bit more obvious what we're doing. Size, we'll set a size window of 400 by 400. And then we're going to set the stroke weight, which is a function listed there. We'll set it to 10 so you can really see the color of the outline. So that's 10 pixels wide. Now let's set the stroke color to something gray, 155. Let's set the fill color to white so that we can kind of see the outline. Set the background to black, so 0, and then draw an ellipse. Oops, and my A key is not working as well as it should. Background, and then we'll draw an ellipse from, who knows, the width of the, oops, maybe we haven't covered that yet. So let's do center point 200, 200, and 100 pixels wide, 100 pixels tall, and then run this code and see what happens, and we'll make some changes to it here over the course of the video. So you'll see in the middle, a circle pops up that's 100 pixels wide by 100 pixels tall with a 10 pixel border that is light gray. So if we change this from light gray to, we can add 250 green and 40 blue, I don't know. We'll see what this color is. They're kind of a greenish color. So that is a way that you can kind of discover new functions and use them. So if we go back to the processing reference, we can see that, in fact, there are more options. We could set just a grayness plus an alpha. So the alpha is the transparency, like I said before. So let's go back and find other functions that we could use. So what if we wanted to draw, let's say, a triangle. Okay, so the triangle function, if you read about it, you set the first xy point, the second xy point, and the third xy point. So it's given 6 different parameters. And so let's draw, instead of this, we'll draw a triangle, and we'll say 100 by 100 is the first xy, then 300x 100y, and then 200x and 300y. And so now if we draw this shape, you should see a flat line on top, yep, with a triangle that goes down to the midpoint. So this is x1, x2 here, and then xy3 over there. So use the processing reference guide to explore a few different functions. It can become very useful as you want to do different things, to consult whether or not someone has already coded an ability to do those things.